Hello, folks. Welcome to the Ninjutsu podcast. I'm your host, Don Rowley. Today we're going to be talking about New Year's resolutions. Get out of here, cat. And Taijutsu goals. Because probably by now, this is middle of January. Many of you probably started a New Year's resolution, probably involving Taijutsu. And keep going. And you're probably kind of backslid and probably given it up. Okay, so there's a few things about this. One thing that they say, people much smarter than me say, is that the problem with New Year's resolutions is that you put them off until New Year's. You determine you're going to get better at something mid-December, and then you don't do it immediately. You put it off till January 1st. That's not good. If you think something needs to be done, you need to do it that day. Okay. And secondly, what you really need is daily motion, but you need a bare minimum of what you do. So, just again, Taijutsu. If you're thinking about getting better at Taijutsu, in my case, I try to practice between an hour and 25 minutes and an hour 30 minutes a day. I have a music list that is, a few that I make that's between that time, usually between like an hour and 23 minutes, an hour and 32 minutes. I do one technique per song. Every third technique is a weapon. But I also have a 3-song playlist for busy days. Sometimes I'll get up in the morning, I'll do those 3, techniques, and then I'll do my stuff, and maybe I can come back and do, an hour and 25 minutes. It builds up. So if I can do an hour and 25 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes a day, every day, 7 days a week, that adds up to 10 hours a week, and with 52 weeks a year, that's over 500 hours a year. That's not incredible, but if you keep at it, remember, they say to be an expert, you need to get in about 10,000 hours of practice. So I made my Shodan at the Taikai in Atlanta in 1990. So as you can see, I've been in this for a little bit more than 20 years. It all adds up. You got to think the long road, okay? So more about this. Again, one technique per song. When the song change techniques. Every third technique is a weapon: hambo, sword, knife, whatever. So that is one thing, but it could be something else. A lot of people watching this are probably wanting to learn Japanese. Okay. You might think, okay, you can sit down and have a conversation with a Japanese teacher and all that on the weekend, but you really need to do something every day. 20 minutes a day, great, that's fantastic. 10 minutes if you need to, okay. If you do it in the morning, even if you just go through, flashcards for words that maybe, listen to grammar points, something like that, 20 minutes a day is a good start. If after work you've got time and you can come back to it, great. But it's kind of like momentum. An object in motion tends to stay in motion, and if you get to rest, then it's really hard to get out of that habit. So that's that. Another thing, again, I kind of want to stress this: practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. When you're talking about Taijutsu, you need feedback. You need to go to someone and have your mistakes pointed out to you. This is vitally important. This is one of the reasons why home video courses are so bad. You have a small mistake in like the angle that your knee is in relationship to your toe. You don't catch it. You keep practicing, and it becomes a habit that you can never get rid of. I have met people like this. Years later, they still curse the fact that they decided to go with video courses. So even if you're going to a teacher, you need to make sure that they correct you. Many people go to classes seeking new information, new techniques, all that. I suggest instead you ask the teacher, if you go to them, to look over something that you think you know and see if they can find corrections in it. And typically, the first time you see something, you get about 70% of it. You get a little bit of practice under your belt, you go back, you get another 70% of the 30% that you get. Just keep cycling through that. So you keep getting corrected. You keep having your nose rubbed in your mistakes rather than being patted on the back. That's really the way of Budo. I mean, instead of getting the ego boost, it's kind of frustrating sometimes, and I know it can be very frustrating. When I was living in Japan, there's this one guy, and after I proved to him, and I'll tell the story someday, that I was really interested in learning and not just being there, to say that I had lived in Japan. He started, there's a Japanese guy who's really good, really good. He would not let me do a technique unless it was perfect. And, he wouldn't like actively counter, but he would just like not be perfect for throwing or whatever. Some nights, if I had 5 reps, I'd be lucky if I get 2 in. But it was a really frustrating, but really fast learning curve. I mean, I picked up a lot of things really fast just by not being able to do it, even though it wasn't perfect. I had to get it down as close to perfect as possible. And I couldn't add in extra techniques to, like hitting him or anything like that, as tempting as it was to make something work. So that's my thing. Again, go to a teacher that's continually getting better and ask them to correct some stuff that you think you know. Sometimes with the Japanese, they're not too forthwith. They don't really want to insult you, and you kind of have to prove it. My experience with this person, who wouldn't let me get the technique unless perfect is an example. Another one is, a story that I have. I was training under this teacher who was really big on kazushi, breaking the structure. You break their structure, then you throw them. You don't try to throw them when they're grounded and strong. So this one night I'm working with this guy, and he's big, and he knows how to use his height. And he's basically just picking me up and slamming into the tatami. And I'm getting slammed. And I'm not saying anything because, it's not my place. Teacher comes around. Guy turns to him and says, "Sensei, tell me, what do you think of this?" And he proceeds to just pick me up and slam me into the tatami. Teacher gives a Japanese-style smile, one of the ones that don't quite reach the eyes. Very strong. Then he walks away, and I'm like, okay, I know what he meant. But if he's not saying anything, what's my place to bring it up? Well, the guy does not immediately come back to training. He kind of stands there looking like he's got something, that smells bad. He's smelling something bad. Then he walks over to the teacher who hasn't gone too far and taps him on the shoulder and says, "Sensei, could you please show me how to do it so it doesn't have to be strong?" This time, the smile is all over the teacher's face, and he uses me to show all the stuff about kazushi and the fine points of the technique. The guy gets it down, and I'm hitting the tatami even harder for the rest of the night, okay? Felt good about being part of that. Needed some bath salts later down that night and some, Tiger Balm. But it was worth it, just to see that. So, yeah, try to find some way of being corrected, and try to find a teacher that is being corrected. They say that you should always have a link to Japan. Not everyone can get to Japan, but there are teachers that you can go to, and they're going to someone better than them or more, in the loop of what's going on. And eventually, of course, that's going to be a teacher that goes to Japan, I haven't been in Japan for a few years because of the various things. But when someone that lives in Japan comes around, I try to go to train with them. Even so, look for people that are keeping up with trying to find corrections, trying to be immersed in more stuff, allowing themselves a chance to have their mistakes pointed out to them. If they avoid that, avoid them. If they've gone to one trip to Japan a decade ago in order to pick up their Godon, and they went to one seminar, since then, which was over 5 years ago, I'd advise just going to someone else who's more current and more active in keeping themselves honest. So that's it. I hope everyone has a good year and gets better at Taijutsu. If you have any questions or suggestions for something that I can do this year as part of the podcast, please let me know in the comments section. And while you're at it, kind of let me know about the fuzz on my face. I've never really had a chance to grow a beard due to different things. Finally realized, okay, maybe I should try it out while I still am able to. So let me know, keep it or get rid of it, or suggestions for it. This part, before you ask, tends to really grow fast. I kind of look like a billy goat when I do it. Anyways, that's it for tonight. Stay safe. Bye.